Greetings, everyone. My name is Jacob Robbins, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. I have to tell you about a harrowing choice I was confronted with a few nights ago. How was I going to dispose of my father's dead body? I had made the choice to murder him, so naturally, I would have to decide how to get rid of him. I had two choices. I could bury him in the garden out front, or, and apologies to anybody who is particularly queasy, I could cut him up and deal with the remains later. Either way, it was game over for me. Now, I am, of course, talking about the Netflix video game film hybrid Black Mirror Bandersnatch. In this interactive movie, body disposal was only one of the choices I faced. As it progresses, the player viewers are able to decide amongst a multitude of choices, ranging from if they'll take drugs to what kind of breakfast cereal they'll eat and to who will jump from a balcony to their death. Borrowing heavily from the choose your own adventure novel genre, the story follows Stefan, a video game developer in 1980s London. The narrative explores themes of free will, consciousness, and choice. Upon playing through all the potentialities, however, an aggravating realization becomes apparent. All the choices lead to pretty much the same outcome. Perhaps this is some kind of meta commentary on behalf of the writers, but to me, this frustration being imparted seems entirely the point of what video games can do, that experiencing of frustration. Namwali Serpell, in her essay titled The Banality of Empathy, uses Bandersnatch to highlight the limitations of empathy while forcing us to question the good it does in art. She argues witnessing suffering doesn't prompt us to do good and sometimes enables us to empathize with suffering as a kind of amusement. She implores us to imagine what art could look like whose focus is less empathic and more on providing a, as she calls, fuller, deeper, rounder picture of human experience. We need not imagine what this art form could look like. Though they've long been thought of as violent time sinks that produce apathy, video games offer us a model of representative thinking in art where the aim is to leave empathy behind and instead focus on giving players new perspectives and viewpoints, in the process, creating more well informed democratic beings. Representative thinking derived from Kant comes from the philosopher Hannah Arendt. This way of thinking emphasizes gaining perspectives and viewpoints, but the key is having emotional distance. Arendt talks about training the mind to go wander by seeking out different perspectives, enabling one to become a better thinker by making more informed decisions. And by holding multiple opposing viewpoints, one's mind becomes enlarged as they begin to see that bigger picture of human experience Namwali Serpell talks about. I analyze several games to make my case as video games being exemplars of representative thinking. The popular online multiplayer game Among Us, made even more popular when New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez played the game in the waning days of the 2020 election, is a kind of democracy simulator as everybody tries to weed out which player is the imposter, a saboteur whose goal it is to kill everybody else on board a fictional spaceship. As the imposter murders other players and their bodies are found, meetings are held where accusations fly and players make their case to either vote each other off or to save their own skin. It's a game where success is incumbent upon keeping emotional distance and where failure is predicated on having too much empathy, having succumbed to too much appeals to emotion. And this is only one of the games I analyze. Video games show us what art can look like, whose sole focus isn't about producing empathy. The implications are vast as we begin to explore the affordances of the form of video games. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.